If you are doing outreach and you still haven't had a profitable outreach campaign, in this video, I'm going to walk you through one of the biggest breakthroughs that we've actually had as a company that's generated $3.55 million in collected revenue for our clients in 2025. So real quick, if you guys don't know who I am, I'm Ryan Ogren. I'm the founder of MoneyMake Marketing, and we specialize in outreach and other outreach systems for manufacturers and other B2B companies. We have manufacturers that are in medical device. We also have them in retail. We also have them in other industries like power infrastructure and data center development that rely on our outreach to close deals for them. So we've been able to do $3.5 million in collected revenue through our campaigns for our clients in 2025. In 2026, our goal is to hit 10 million in collected revenue. That means cash is in their bank account. That doesn't mean contracted revenue or deal size or deal value. It's literally cash in their bank account. And we're just a small team, so we have to be efficient and we have to know exactly what we're doing. So in this video, I'm going to be walking you guys through one of the biggest breakthroughs that we've actually had when it comes to outreach and making an outreach campaign profitable. Okay. And I'm not going to do a clickbaity video. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. It's actually job titles, job title mastery. Okay. So this is like there's a 1.0 to this and a 2.0. So the 1.0 is like using Booleans, using AI, and I'll walk you through like how we actually will go and find these job titles and who the correct decision maker is. But I think before I even do that, I need to walk you through what we're actually looking for. And then there's a 2.0, and the 2.0 is how we actually waterfall the decision makers at these companies, because sometimes the decision maker that the job title at one company, that a company has 2,000 plus employees, is going to be way different than the decision maker at a 200 employee company. So this happens a lot for us. One of our manufacturers that's in the retail space, they can do brands that are just coming up, like maybe they have 50 employees, in which case the job title is going to be different than if they're doing 1,000, 10,000 plus storefront or location client that they have a full department dedicated to what my client does. So the job titles are going to be different per company size. That's the 2.0. That's the hint. But without further ado, let's get into some background and the actual goals. The goal of our job title mastery. So we're going to start with the goal, go to 1.0, go to 2.0. So 1.0 is just tactics, 2.0 is just tactics. But the goal is to get to decision makers and get positive response. Okay. And we could even make that goal like way more specific, is just to get to the decision makers. That's usually our first goal before we get a positive response from those decision makers. But realistically, we just need to get to them first. So who is the one that actually decides on this particular thing? So essentially what we do, the very first thing that we do is we actually will go and take their do not contact list. When we onboard a new client, we do a do not contact list. And this is usually what they put on like all their existing companies and clients that they currently have. Sometimes we have to sign NDAs on this. Sometimes we don't. But if we can get a person, their email and company, we can then look them up on LinkedIn and email platforms. So and we don't really give a crap about email platforms and which one's better. It's such a marginal gain for you. Like, it's either your clients are going to be, and for the most part, most of you watching this video, your clients are going to have LinkedIn profiles just because the nature of the industry. And so all the email providers are mostly getting their information from either LinkedIn or Google Maps. So if you are usually working with us, like most of the LinkedIn covers it. And when we're actually enriching it further, we oftentimes have our own database that we can pull from as well. But Apollo is good, but also I like Yo as of lately. They're pretty good. But realistically, it's whatever works for you and your company. There's Apollo web scrapers out there. There's Prospeo web scrapers out there. You just have to go find the right thing. If you want a video on that, I can definitely show you. But if you're a B2B company, you shouldn't be using those. You should actually just spend the credits because you don't need that many. So anyways, that's actually depends on who's watching this. I know that I have sometimes a broader audience, so depends on who's watching this. I'll put an asterisk next to that. Asterisk, you should use web scrapers depending on what it is. All right. So anyways, that's not advice. All right. I'm going on to the next thing. So that's our first thing. That's how we figure out who we're actually going after. Those are the job titles. So we have existing buyers, existing customer job titles. Now this gives you like 30% of the actual decision makers of the industry, because chances are the people that are already working with the client, if it's a bigger company, depending on the industry, they might not be the same ones that decide, right? So usually, let's say a marketing agency, for instance, we have a marketing agency, right? If you're on a sales call with one of our sales team and you guys onboard, that salesperson is no longer the person you're working with, right? But their job title is different than who you would be working with. And if you came on and worked with us, if you were lucky to get me as your actual account manager, or you worked with somebody else on our team, that is a different story. Obviously, our job titles are way different. Me being the founder and the CEO versus someone on their sales team, VP of sales, sales rep. So Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. You just got to be cognizant of all these different types of things. And then you could ask them, who did you deal with when you onboarded? And for our manufacturing clients, they're like, oh, that was 20 years ago. We have no idea. It's okay. All right. So this works like 30% of the time where you can get some. You can usually get some. Okay. And then 2, we'll do AI deep research. Okay. And so when we do this deep research, this is very important. This kind of hints at 2.0. It actually combines 2.0. We'll say, who are the job titles, but it's the seniority level and keyword level. Who are the job titles, both seniority level and keyword, that is the correct decision maker for at. Okay, so then you do that. And then the 2.0 version is you will actually say, now who is the correct decision maker in this range? And you'll list out 1 to 10, 11 to 50, 50 to 200, 200 to 1,000, and so on and so forth. Usually you'll find that the job titles will change as the companies get bigger, and they're usually in every single development that we've seen, in every single like actual deal that we've taken on, we've seen that there's usually a threshold where, you know, once they pass this threshold, they hire for that role. So it's like so for one of our clients, let's say it was store development. So that's a keyword, and they didn't have a store development team until they get to 200 plus employees, which is right around 200 plus employees is right around their 3rd or 4th location. And so once they hit that, usually they really scale up. And it's not the same for everything, but you'll start to see those patterns in your clients. And then when you have to go scrape a list, and you're scraping a list of 1 to 10, 11 to 50, it's actually these job titles instead of the other one. That's 2.0. If you're watching this entire video, if that's the only thing you take away, that makes your campaigns better than probably 99% of all the outreach marketers that are out there that just learned it yesterday from a course. Wink. If you're watching this and you just learned from the course, welcome. I love you already. Okay. So then that's a hint at 2.0. I'll just put a star and 2.0 and a smiley face there. So then after we know our full job titles, and we know our full job titles at every single range, now we can actually start list building. So we just go to like step 3, which is list building. And this is where we use 1.0. List building is 1.0, and this is just using Boolean searches. So Boolean search for your job titles, okay? And the reason we use a Boolean search is someone could be VP of sales, someone could be the vice president of sales, or someone could be, or that's not a good example. Someone could be head of sales. Someone could also be, that's not a good example either. No, it is. Okay, so someone could be the same seniority level, but they just at the same company, they just call it something different. So VP of sales, head of sales director. That's a good example. So let's just say VP of sales, head of sales director. Okay. So now, like the actual proper Boolean to cover this would be parentheses, quotation marks, because if you're using Apollo or even Sales Navigator, use quotation marks for everything. VP. So I would actually do, let me do this like a framework for you guys. Let me be a better teacher, better skill transfer guy. All right. So we do the actual seniority level keyword 1, and then you do and then you do the second one. All right, I'm gonna rewrite this. I'm pissed at myself. Did a poor job explaining this. My neck hurts. I'm tired, but I am powering through. I need to get some more caffeine. That's what I need. Okay, anyways, so Boolean search. So you wanna do parentheses, quotation, and then you wanna do seniority level, quotations, or seniority level 2, and the quotations, and then so on and so forth. You can do it forever. Then you want to do and your parenthetical there, do another one, and then you do your actual function keywords, do or, and that's it. So this is like a function keyword would be sales, and then the seniority levels will be VP, head, director. So then just putting this all together, it would be, let's do VP or head or director and sales. And then like I sometimes will just do one Boolean per function keyword just because it keeps it a little bit cleaner. In Apollo, when you're doing these, there is something for a Boolean search. You have to keep them very short. So that's why I'll do this, but we'll also do the same strategy with Sales Navigator. You can be very long in Sales Navigator, but in my opinion, just doing a couple function keywords and then you just leave it as a function keyword as one, it usually will cover and keep you under that keyword limit. That'll get you all the job titles that you need for that particular scrape or that particular list that you're building. And you don't really need to do more than that for those job titles. Now, you also need to make sure when you do this that you have your company filters set because you're actually not company filters, company headcount. Sorry, I need more caffeine. I'm gonna go get a coffee after this. But headcount has to be set based off of what we just did in 2.0. So I'm just gonna draw down because I can. It's my iPad. So make sure that you have your job titles correct based off of the type of companies that you're gonna do. You might be saying, Brian, like my decision makers are only like these job titles. If you only think that way, then you're gonna have a very limited list and a very small market. When a lot of companies that need what you have to offer, they don't even know you exist. You're actually just doing outreach to like companies that have this very narrow job offer. So like you might think that your market, let's say your market's this, and you might feel like you're saturating the entire market and it feels like this, but that's realistic of what you actually just saturated, that little dot, and this is your entire market. So you got to be very careful with this type of thinking is, oh, we already reached out to everyone that's out there. You only reached out to this amount. All right, so that's that, and then so that's the Boolean. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that we like to do. So in Apollo, here's another one. I'll do this in my list building mastery in Apollo. We also will do keywords, and same thing, keywords. So these are company keywords. Same thing with sales nav. So when we actually do this, that we actually are still using a Boolean search. So in Apollo, this is in the include all section, and we still use quotation marks. And then in sales nav, it's just the company bar. It's the keyword bar at the top. So if you use those two things, you're going to have like really good list building. But anyways, to boil it down, the reason your outreach campaigns are not profitable is because you aren't targeting the proper job titles for that company size. You're reaching out based off of a job title keyword, or you're just looking off what their existing clients are, and you are not actually tailoring the job titles to each company size. And that's how they hire. Let me ask you a question right now. If you're watching this video and you are under $1 million in revenue, do you have your own CEO? Have you hired? Actually, let me ask you a better question. Do you have an HR department? No. Do you have somebody that is just doing compliance for you? Probably not. Do you have a COO? Do you have a CF? Do you have a controller? No, you don't have these positions. These positions only exist at a certain height, a certain threshold. So it's very important to understand that job titles change with company size. So if your outreach campaigns are struggling, I would urge you to just go to an AI. I like Manus. But if you like ChatGPT, use ChatGPT and say, hey, what are the job titles that are the decision maker of company? And then what about this one? What about this one? What about this one? And then scrape your list according to that, and you will find you'll have much, much better results. Then after that, we'll usually go through, and we have our own Clay table and our own Clay workflow that we actually use. If you want to see that, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I'll post it someday. And then obviously we verify them. We like to use a couple different email verifiers. We like to double verify it. And then our inboxes are as clean as they get. Let me know if you guys have any questions, comment, subscribe, and I hope you guys like this video. Job titles change with company size. All right, Ryan Ogren, MoneyMake Marketing. See ya.